I'm Diego Cordovez.
Adam Schoenfeld.
Welcome to The Scoop, brought to you by Full Tilt Poker. We had David Benefield on last week.
The ratings were strong, so I think it justifies another session.
It got high ratings. He's got a very good nickname, Raptor. And so we're going to bring him back for part 2. If people missed part 1, it's on Card Player TV. And make sure you watch part 1 first. Otherwise, you'll be completely lost.
One of the good things about your blog is that you're so honest about your struggles within yourself to address these questions. And it's not like there is any definitive answer to any of these questions. You went to see Tommy Angelo.
I did.
Can you tell us what that's all about?
Well, I was looking for a poker coach on the life aspect of poker. I mean, I felt like my game was solid enough that I didn't really need to go see a specific coach for that kind of thing. But I guess I had problems taking... I had problems separating poker and my life. Like, if I had a really terrible session, lost a bunch of money, I'd go hang out with, my girlfriend or something. I'd be a little down. I wouldn't be as, friendly. People like, hey, let's go out for drinks. I'd be like, meh, all right. And then, I'll go, and I just wouldn't be as much fun.
Right, you found yourself treating your girlfend not necessarily terribly, but just not the way you want to interact with her. But not the way I want to treat her.
Like, I mean, beating her.
Right,
right.
Yeah, all right. But, just things like that, small things. And I just felt that was kind of just detracting from my overall, happiness in life. And I didn't like that. So I went to see him, and, it helped a lot. We worked on a bunch of stuff, meditation. I started doing yoga. And it just it slows everything down, it gives you time to just think and be aware and try to stay more in the present and focus on what's actually happening as opposed to what happened 3 hours ago or what you have to worry about tomorrow. And I mean, I just kind of changed my overall way of thinking. I think it did help a lot.
Tommy's got a book called Elements of Poker, which is excellent, which addresses, it doesn't tell you how to play specific hands, even though there's some strategy in there.
Yeah, it has a little strategy
but
in it,
it's more about the right mindset to do this as a living for a long period of time and maintain some semblance of balance and some semblance of normalcy in your life. It's really interesting.
It's good. I mean, it's a book that hasn't really been done before, and it hits on a lot of things that are very important to, living this lifestyle and staying with it.
If you're willing to reveal, like, how does the sessions with Tommy work? You just, like a therapist, you talk to him, or does he observe you play?
Yeah, I mean, the first day, we met up, we had dinner, and we just kind of got to know each other.
You hadn't met him before. You contacted him?
No, yeah. I mean, I talked to him on the phone a couple times. We emailed back and forth, but I'd never met him before. We met up. We had dinner at Cheesecake Factory, and then we played like a 4-hour live session. And then I went home. I was like, "What's he gonna say tomorrow?" Because he watched me play live, and next day we came back. We talked about some live stuff that I could do differently, and that was actually pretty cool. I wasn't expecting that at all. And we just kind of talked about things I could take away from the table. Do before I play, after I play, that kind of thing. It was really helpful. It wasn't really what I expected, but it was exactly what I needed. So.
Had he done this before with anyone else, or were you his first project, so to speak?
I mean, he did it. He's done it before with a ton of people, but this is the first time. This is the first time I've ever done anything like that.
Right. But
I had Phil Galfon did this thing. I guess probably like 2 or 3 years ago. It was a while ago when he first started playing cash games, and he said it was great, and he just had enormous respect for Tommy and his coaching thing, and it worked out great, and I was really happy with it too.
So exactly how much per hour has that benefited you? I'm just I need, an amount.
I mean, I've always thought, and there isn't really one book that addresses it. I think that Barry Greenstein's book gets at it in the sense that the difference between, raising with ace-jack or limping with ace-jack is not that big. The difference in terms of, like, avoiding tilt.
Right.
Staying in it for the long haul, having the right frame of mind, having discipline in your life, not succumbing to all the leaks that are related to poker.
Yeah.
That's the difference between someone who's a pro for 20 years or someone who has talent but flames out.
Right.
And now he has a few strategic examples in the book, but when you read it, you realize what really matters are all the different character traits that he lists. Now, this is different, but I mean, I think it gets to the point that in the end, real success long term has a lot more to do with just how you manage your career than optimal play of a certain hand in a situation might make a 0.01% difference over the course of the year.
So one of the main premises of Tommy's book is just always playing your A game.
Yeah.
And the things you can do to bring yourself back to your A game. I mean, a lot of people they can be the best poker player in the world if they play their best game, but they just get away from that so often that they can't be winners long term.
Chip Reese would often say that when he was off his game, he might go to his B game, but he
Right.
didn't have like D through G.
No, right.
But a lot of guys have, G
Absolutely.
and beyond.
And
Yeah.
he also, I think, he also recognized when he was playing his B game, or if he was in danger of slipping to below the B
B minus,
game.
yeah.
And that's the other aspect. I mean, if you have a E game, that's fine, as long as you know to quit.
Right, yeah.
Guys are playing their E game convinced they're still playing their A game. That's the bigger problem.
That's the best opponent ever.
Right. Get them stuck a few buy-ins. They still
Right.
think they're playing great, complaining about a big suck out or whatever. And
Absolutely. Just falling into all those traps. And, some guys I really respect, even though they're not good for our own profit, which is they recognize when they aren't at their best and they say, okay, I'm quitting right now.
Right.
The ideal would be, of course, getting back to playing great.
Mhm.
But if you can't do
If you
that,
can't, go do
second
something,
best
yeah.
is do
Yeah.
something else.
So, after you go to college, do you see yourself as a poker player long term, or do you see yourself in
I see myself as being a casual poker player for the rest of my life. I'm always going to want to come play, the main event at the World Series, and a few tournaments here and there. I can see myself every summer coming out and playing, whichever events that I'm interested in, or traveling to, wherever for an EPT, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
But as far as playing full time for the rest of my life, no. It's just not something I want to do. I want to be able to. I don't know what I want to do, but I want to be able to maybe teach. I think I'll like coaching baseball. I just want to have all these options to me. And poker's great in the sense that you don't have to do it full time.
Right.
Right.
You can pick it up.
There's
here
so
and
much.
there.
You have so much
Right.
flexibility.
And you can give yourself so much freedom while playing part time.
Well, with your ability and at the levels you play, you can have a very good living on very few hours if you
Yeah.
continue to play well.
But the nosebleeds aren't really. I don't think they're the place to just play kind of casually. I think to play in those games, you need to be playing full time. You need to be staying at the top of your game, or else
Interesting.
you have to. It's about such small edges,
Mhm.
and game selection's huge in those games. And if in the future, I see myself playing much smaller, just kind of like maybe 12 tabling 5-10 or something. Because you can still make a
A
ridiculous.
casual 12 tables.
I was going to say, right.
Right,
A
well,
relaxing
No,
12
but you
tables.
make a
Yeah.
very good point.
But it's just something that the competition's going to be less stiff. You're not going to have to stress as much
Mhm.
about a big downswing.
Mhm.
And for a casual player, I think it's much better for an overall life happiness kind of thing.
See, what you say makes a lot of sense. I would think that anyone in your position, and there are others who are your peers who are comparable, would think in those terms. Want to keep playing, but not playing with the same intensity and the same number of hours. But can you think of any guys, who are your peers, who their mindset actually is they're just so intense about it that you can see them playing for a long time at the highest levels, where they just thrive on that competition and that, because I would expect the majority to be like you. I'd be like you if I was in your position, your age. But there's always that one or two guys, who they may be around forever just doing that.
Some of those guys will be like one of those guys will be the next Doyle Brunson and just play
Yeah.
for the next 60 years.
Sure.
And then a few select others will get really good educations and do other great things.
Right.
And others will just, be like grinders like ourselves.
It is interesting. I think a lot of people underestimate the last, maybe not so much recently, but certainly for many years. Phil Ivey put more hours in than anybody.
Yeah.
He'd be playing every day,
Mhm.
and long sessions.
And from the time he was 16.
Yeah, and he really was obsessed with playing, with getting better.
I think he just
and,
loves
with
games.
kinda
He loves
winning.
betting.
He
He
loves the
loves
action.
he loves the action, and he also is obsessed with becoming the best, and like they say,
That mentality's
if someone
made him the best.
If you're not
so.
playing, if you're not practicing, someone else is. If you're
Right.
not playing, someone else
Absolutely.
is, and but that's what makes him, in a sense, more unique than other guys who
Yeah.
have talent, but who maybe have more balance, for better or worse.
Yeah, it's true.